This is like Moist Critical coming out and making a video and being like, guys, the McSticks over there at Israel are obviously doing a genocide and we got to put a stop to it. It's like they're melting babies over there. I can't believe it. You know, I put my black t-shirt on instead of the white one today because I wanted to talk about the severity of the crisis at hand. When you see the Gaza situation is crazy YouTube video, know that things have changed so dramatically that people are no longer fearful. A couple weeks ago, I said, once Moist Critical talks about Israel, it's over. And it seems Moist Critical is, as a matter of fact, literally wearing the black t-shirt and talking about Israel, which is ironically what I said. Once he wears the black t-shirt and starts talking about Israel, it's over. As in, the American normie class has completely shifted their position on Israel and are no longer even afraid to speak about these things. Guys, it's time. There's a real up situation going on.
Benjamin Netanyahu just openly stating in front of the whole world his plans on brainwashing because so many people are turning on Israel. So he was asked like what he plans to do about it. And you know what? Since I'm just yapping, I'm just going to go ahead and go on this topic now too.
I guess I'm curious about what's another game plan if we lose evangelical support for the state of Israel. What's our backup plan to be strong, like outside of the diaspora?
Christian influencers. Okay. You said, we talked about the woke right. And you said, I call it the woke Reich. That's a the woke Reich. Because these people, you know, they're not any different from the woke left. I mean, they're insane. They're loonies.
Yeah, that's his strategy. A galaxy brain chess maneuver here. Call everyone that doesn't support Israel Nazis.
Insane that Charlie's going beast mode for once. I mean, it's not that insane. Dude, someone must have clipped it when I was memeing about how when Charlie comes out with the black t-shirt and starts talking about, guys, we have a serious problem with Israel. That's when you know we've arrived at the normie position. Dude, I'm gonna keep it very real with you. There is no world where someone like Charlie would ever in a million years say anything about Israel. You guys are straight up living in a totally alternative reality. If you think a person that people call a fence sitter professionally, okay, his own personal positions on Israel are irrelevant. I'm saying, like, as far as coming out and saying anything about Israel because of how terrified most people have been to say anything about Israel at all, anything for Israel, anything to say about Israel at all. Because for many people, for content creators, for people with jobs, they are terrified of saying anything about Israel that's negative because automatically you are public enemy number one. You're losing your job. You're going to be tarred and feathered, you're going to be called the anti-Semitic Nazi for the rest of your life. This means it's no longer the case. This means that normies have also recognized that there isn't a tremendous amount of social pressure that can be applied if you come out and you're like, what the are we doing here? This is completely unacceptable. He is proving exactly what I've been saying for months, that Israel's censorship regime especially is very frustrating for regular Americans who might not personally give a what's going on there. Not to say that Charlie doesn't, right? I'm using Moist Critical here as a beacon. I'm using him as a way to tell you where like societal attitude is at. Yeah, a canary in the coal mine, a litmus test, an indicator, okay? Most people either don't know anything about Palestine or Israel and never really cared, or they had a positive opinion on Israel until October 7, right? And most people saw what Israel did after October 7 and at times tuned in and thought, wow, that's really oh well, life goes on. I'm talking about like normal people, not you guys. This community is obviously unique. We are uniquely tuned in to what the Israel's been up to every single day, okay? For the average person, for your coworkers, they are not as tuned in. But this doesn't mean that they're oblivious. They are aware of what Israel's doing. Some people know what Israel's doing and think, well, you know, they're brown guys. Oh, well, it's really sad. Maybe they should stop. But they're just, you know, brown children being slaughtered. And they just move on with their lives. But if there's one thing that pisses off Americans, if there's one thing that pisses off your coworkers, it's the fact that they see that, they don't like it, they're fearful to say anything about it, and they see others saying something about it that reflects their values on the issue, and they get censored, or they get deplatformed, or they get yelled at endlessly by some of the most arrogant genocidaires you have ever encountered, and they don't like that. They especially don't like this. So even if there's an American out there who doesn't give a who doesn't like what Israel is doing, but doesn't care enough to go out and protest, and is not fully aware of all of the awfulness, all of the bloodshed that Israel has committed, they especially don't like being censored. They don't like the fact that there are unlimited tax dollars going there, and they don't like the arrogance and entitlement demonstrated by this supposed client state, and they don't like that they are being censored for exhibiting any sort of discontent. We shall call this the Kimmel effect. That's a good take. Exactly. Americans might not be totally tuned into all the awful shit that Trump is doing right now at the domestic level. When he came out and was like, Jimmy Kimmel, for this like tepid statement about Charlie Kirk, deserves to be barred from speaking on television, and the FCC should like revoke the television license, all of a sudden everyone goes, what the f do you mean? Get the f out of here. And that's precisely what's taking place here. Poll after poll is showing that more and more Americans are becoming aware of the reality, or acknowledging the reality, that Israel is committing a genocide. It's crazy to me that it's still 39%, because that's precisely what this is, right? Wait, that's American. Wait, no, hold on. That's Jews. That's American Jews, brother. No, the percentage of Americans that say Israel's committing a genocide against Palestinians in Gaza is far higher than that. This is American Jews. Most American Jews say Israel's committed war crimes against Palestinians. About 4 in 10 say Israel's committed genocide. That's insane. That's huge. But yeah, poll after poll has shown that Americans are broadly aware of Israel's genocide, and pretty much every American you've ever encountered wants to reduce support for Israel. Pretty much every single American you ever encounter wants an arms embargo. Pretty much every single American you can encounter says it's a genocide. It's gone. It's done. It's over. Do you understand? 65% want sanctions. Oh, this is the Democrats. Okay, I was going to say, this is like, the percentages seem far too high for all Americans. But regardless, overwhelming numbers also recognize that Israel is committing a genocide. Majority of Americans also want to push for sanctions on Israel, okay? Not just Democrats. Because when you look at independents, their numbers are a little bit lower than the Democrats, and then Republicans are pro-Israel, but it doesn't matter, right? Because Republicans alone don't make up for Israel support. Like, with the exception of evangelical Zionists and Jewish Zionists, which also are no longer as pro-Israel as they used to be, okay? With the exception of evangelicals and Jews, most of the United States of America are no longer pro-Israel. And that happened over 2 years. You have to measure that against how pro-Israel Americans used to be. It is so over. And it's only going to get worse from here on out for Israel as far as like approval ratings goes. Americans are no longer afraid of even coming out as being anti-Israel. Because like in the past, many Americans would shy away from saying the truth. Many Americans would shy away from saying the truth because they were worried. Because nobody wants to be yelled at and be called a anti-Semite, okay? Especially because like when you get called an anti-Semite, especially by like these advocacy groups that do have a tremendous, or did have a tremendous amount of institutional motion, your career is over, okay? This goes even beyond like people's distaste for speaking on political issues. And now it's like, it's no longer the Canary Mission doxing random like Palestinian nurses and because they can't dox every single person. You know what I mean? So they don't have that same environment of censorious fear, and it doesn't hit anymore.
And secondly, we're going to have to use the tools of battle. And the most important ones are in social media. And the most important purchase that is going on right now is TikTok. TikTok. Number one. And I hope it goes through because it can be consequential. And the other one, what's the other one that's most important? X. X. Exactly. Very good. And, you know, so we have to talk to Elon. He's not an enemy. He's a friend. We should talk to him. Now, if we can get those two things, we get a lot. And I could go on other things, but that's not the point right now.
Spoiler warning for those without thinking caps on. Censorship. He's talking about censorship. Damn to free speech. Benjamin Netanyahu's got other ideas. It's something he's talked about plenty in the past, He's not exactly shy with it. He's very loosey-goosey with the censorship topic, and he's talking about it again. He recognizes how everyone sharing videos and information about the atrocities and all the slaughter of the Palestinians at the hands of the IDF is making people turn on Israel. So now genocidal freak is going up to Elon Musk. Oh, Mr. Musk, can we do something about like all these pesky voices sharing all of this? It's censorship. Super weird, by the way, how a foreign nation seems to have so much pull over things happening in our homeland. Why can Netanyahu come out with his full ass on display talking about like how algorithms on the platforms here need to cater to him, and also he should be talking to Elon about Twitter so they can do something together in regards to like the people not liking Israel anymore and what they're having access to? Why is that? Like, that shouldn't be allowed, right? Like, what the this guy gets to come in and, like, completely wash our fucking freedom of speech in order to fit his censorship agenda? Cool. How about no, goober? Like, come on.
Damn, bro, I can't believe I'm hearing Moist Critical. My eyes, my ears. I can't believe I'm seeing and hearing Moist Critical wearing the black shirt, literally calling Benjamin Netanyahu the G word, goober. Okay, that is crazy. How do we get here, folks? The mother G word, man. Incredible things are happening. We're finally here. I don't know anything about him. What's the significance of the black shirt? I mean, that's mostly a meme. Charlie doesn't normally do a lot of politics. Like he's a liberal for sure, right? In the past, like he's come out and had some interesting takes that I definitely consider liberal, but like he deliberately stays out of trouble, I guess, if that makes sense. He tries to actively not talk about this stuff. For him to come out and like make a statement is indicative of the change in times. It means that there aren't like tremendous repercussions for this sort of thing. He is demonstrative of an attitude shift. It means that like this position is no longer, this is an inoffensive position. It's like people actually no longer feel fearful to reveal this. And he has, yeah, in the past, he stood up for trans people and a lot of people yelled at him for it. Like this means that like the average American cop and divorced dad also has a similar perspective. Do you understand? Like there's cops that watch Moist Critical. There's divorced dads that watch Moist Critical. Your coworkers watch Moist Critical, okay, in our age group.
How about we all come together and say, let's stop attacking pedophiles? I want you to look at what happened when the National Guard went to D.C.
Quite the Freudian slip. And as I said, there's no way he meant to say that. But he never corrects it or anything. No one points it out. And what he's talking about didn't pertain to pedophiles at all. His crime statistics were robbery, homicide, and rape. 2 out of 3 of those he covered previously. The last one, robbery, that doesn't relate to stopping attacking pedophiles. Like, those two don't connect. You can't put the square piece into the circle hole on that one. And I saw people saying that it was intellectually dishonest to paint it as anything other than just like an embarrassing flub. Which is fair enough, I suppose, because I'm not trying to make the claim that this is him fully admitting to things and he's going full mask off. Ted Cruz did, notably, reject the release of the Epstein files. Like, from all available information, it seems he has been against the release of the Epstein files, judging from his votes in regards to it. So I did pose that, here's a little food for thought. There may be a little something there, possibly, but overall, the video, I was just taking the piss out of it. That's really it. But that was somehow incendiary and made people mad about, like, oh, to portray him clearly having a flub there.
Once again, that is indicative of his audience's attitude, right? Even when he's like gently making fun of Ted Cruz for a very obvious gaffe while tying it back to the Epstein stuff, like there are people in his audience that get mad at that. Okay, so there's obviously like right wingers in his audience as well. Not his entire audience, but that is once again where Charlie is at and what he represents for someone like myself.
I'm going to harp on Ted Cruz for a moment because I just don't understand the glaze. I don't know how he has hog writers. I do not get the pedophiles that will defend him tooth and nail when he himself has said that the reason he got into Congress 13 years ago is to defend the interests of Israel.
I came into Congress
he's
13 years
cooking.
ago with the stated intention of being the leading defender of Israel in the United States Senate. Right. And I've worked every day to do that.
So you are an American politician whose sole purpose for being here is to defend the interests of a foreign nation. here, domestically. I just don't know how that's not treasonous. I'm just going to say it. I don't get how that is not just like full-blown treason. I saw quite a few takes when it came out about Israel paying influencers for like positive PR and stuff, and people were tossing the word treason around in regards to that. This is that times 50. I don't know how this one gets a pass. I don't get how that gets a pass. He is supposed to represent the state of Texas. You would think as an American.
I told you, motherfucker. Dude, wait till Charlie hears about BDS laws, dude. Any self-respecting American who hears about the treacherous, nefarious ways in which Israel advocacy groups have been able to dominate American political discourse in this fashion, they're never going to look at that the same way ever again. 38 states where you have to sign a loyalty pledge to the state of Israel to retain a job. Ain't no way.
Again, I'm not the most politically savvy guy on the planet. I'm a Neanderthal. I get that. I am a Cro-Magnon man when it comes to this. But I just don't understand. I cannot wrap my head around how people will support that. I don't get it.
By the way, I knew this was going to inevitably happen, which is why I cannot believe how much the Democrats have failed on this issue and how much they haven't led on this issue. If you couldn't see the writing on the wall, first and foremost, you should have obviously been against it due to the immoral nature. Like, you should, if you're a human being, you should be anti-genocide. But the fact that you wouldn't even argue against Israel, you wouldn't argue against decoupling from Israel, knowing that this was going to be a major world-defining, incredibly consequential political issue at the domestic level. God damn, dude. Retire if you can't see that. If I can see that, and I'm a dumb Twitch streamer, you should be able to see that too. You shouldn't even need the tide shift to take place to actually, change your position on it, regardless if you're a politician. Leaked email reveals communication between a company leading the TikTok purchase and former Israeli Prime Minister Ehud Barak. We believe that we have to embed the love and respect for Israel in the American culture, wrote the then Oracle CEO Safra Katz in 2015. And Will Menaker has a take on it. He says, no matter how much money they spend on this or how many media platforms they buy out for this express purpose, I can state with total confidence that no one in this country under the age of 50 will ever love or respect Israel again, and nothing is changing that. It's over. This is why I keep saying, toothpaste out of the tube. This is why I keep repeating over and over again that today is the day that Israel will be the most popular it ever will be for the rest of time. Tomorrow, Israel will be less popular than it is today. And the day after that, Israel will be even less popular than it is today. This will never turn around for Israel. It's over. They've lost the next generation, completely lost it. And what they also fail to comprehend is that all of this censorship, all of this media manipulation is only pissing people off further. That's why you got like Charlie coming out and attacking Israel from the perspective of and changing, like, or openly admitting that they are trying to pay people to advocate for Israel as it is doing a genocide. It's out in the open. That's why I don't get too mad at people when they take that first step and they recognize, like, Israel is the wrong party here and not the wronged party here. All it takes is time from that point on. Most people don't just turn around and go, yeah, Israel's doing a genocide, but they might say that today, but they're not going to say that tomorrow, chat. You always have to be as kind as you possibly can to people who have demonstrated that genuine change of heart, or people who were silent before who are speaking out now. Do you understand? I know you want to feel like you were there all along and you want some recognition for it. This is a selfish need. Let go of that. Imagine if I did that to you when you came in here on October 7 and you told me, like, you, Hassan, you're Hamas lover, you love terrorism, how dare you speak out against the Jewish state? I didn't do that, did I? I was aware of all the shit that Israel had done leading up to that point, but I didn't do that. Think about your own experience over the last 2 years and how you arrived at this conclusion, the journey that you took to arrive at this conclusion, to arrive at the truth. Understand that a similar process will take place for a lot of the people who are, even now, after 23 months. I'm telling you, once people are made aware, once they take that leap, once they actually go against what they have been preconditioned into believing, that Israel is this moral party, Israel is this Western aligned nation, and its enemies are barbaric monsters. Once they take that leap to recognize the truth for the first time, when they go, maybe Israel is not the moral nation I thought it was, there's no going back after that. Okay? After that, You just have to sit back and wait. All it takes is time.